If your source of Mar-Vell information only comes from the MCU, you may be a little lost as to who the aliens are in the Captain Mar-Vell teaser trailer. Rest assured that we've got you covered as we tackle the biggest facts and secrets about the Skrulls and what they could mean for the MCU going forward. We made this video in collaboration with our good friends at CBR. Stay tuned till the end to see their video. Before we get started though, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with everything ScreenRant. The Skrulls were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby back in 1962 in Fantastic Four #2. Right from the get-go, we get a peek at the terrifying power of the Skrulls as we see the alien species are in fact posing as the Fantastic Four. Their powers were very reminiscent of the powers seen in the alien film Invasion of the Body Snatchers, in that the aliens can actually become anyone they'd like and replace them with an agent of their own, which can be disastrous if you're a superhero and the public opinion of you changes overnight, or if sensitive information is accessed and leaked to the Skrull Empire. That's why these guys make excellent spies, as their infiltration powers are unrivaled. Thankfully for the Fantastic Four though, Reed Richards was able to thwart them, but that didn't mean the Skrulls would give up. So, where do the Skrulls come from? The alien species is an ancient one and can trace their genetic origin back to the Celestials. You may remember the Celestials from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where Ego revealed himself to be one and therefore Star-Lord was half Celestial. These godlike beings began doing experiments on the aliens and ended up getting 3 distinct variations or subspecies in the process. These were the Normals, the Eternals, and the Deviants, the latter of which ended up being the dominant species after wiping out the other 2. Or did they? The MCU did just confirm an Eternals movie with director Chloe Zhao, which will take place in the so-called Phase 4. So maybe we'll be seeing a lot more of the Skrulls and the long-lost Eternals in the future. In the epic storyline Secret Invasion, which we'll be talking about a lot by the way, many of the best Mar-Vell heroes rallied together to fight off the invading Skrulls. But there was one unlikely hero who really stepped up to the plate, and he was none other than the Merc with the Mouth himself, Deadpool. Deadpool actually infiltrates the Skrulls' invading ship with a little motivation from Nick Fury. He then gets the Skrulls to adapt to his healing powers, which backfires on them and makes their lives particularly troublesome. He then steals vital information pertaining to the Queen and sends it back to Earth, which is then stolen by Norman Osborn. Despite all the hard work Deadpool did by undertaking that mission, Norman Osborn was the one to kill the Queen. At least Deadpool did something selfless though. There's a being in the Skrull Empire known as the Super Skrull. Otherwise known as Kl'rt, he tried taking over the Earth dozens of times and repeatedly failed. It's not easy to take over the Earth, with the likes of the Avengers and the X-Men being around all the time. This constant failure caused him to eventually team up with the one person who could help him achieve his goal, and that was none other than the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. This was an effort to obtain the Cosmic Cube, but once things ran their course, Thanos put Kl'rt in charge of the defense of Titan, which ended up being a poor decision on Thanos' part as Kl'rt botched that assignment up too. While they never showed up in Infinity War, many Skrulls were also children of Thanos at some point, much like how Ebony Maw and company were in the third Avengers film. Captain Mar-Vell is a human pilot who ends up having her DNA mixed with that of the Kree in the MCU's upcoming film, Captain Mar-Vell. If the Kree sound familiar to you, it's because they were mentioned a lot in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Ronan the Accuser is one of them, but doesn't answer to the Kree Empire, operating well outside of its rules and sanctions. He'll feature heavily in the upcoming film, but it's unknown at this point if he'll be an ally or enemy to Carol Danvers. The Kree have some major issues with the Skrulls, and after losing out on a seat on the Interplanetary Council, went on killing the Skrulls, causing the Kree-Skrull War. Considering Danvers is part Kree, it's quite possible her interests and Ronan's align for the moment. We've yet to get a reference to Galactus in the MCU, but comic book fans will no doubt recognize the name. He's the literal destroyer of worlds as he feeds on the power of planets in the universe to sustain himself. Talk about being a bit of an overeater. Despite his gluttonous powers, he remains one of the most popular and powerful villains in the Mar-Vell universe. In one story arc, the Skrulls moved their government onto one planet, Throne World. But of course, Galactus was feeling hungry and decided to eat the planet, which causes the Skrulls to flee into space. This in turn causes splinter factions to rise, each claiming the now empty throne for themselves. It's kind of like Game of Thrones in space, only the cause for everything is a planet being eaten instead of an assassination. Once the Mar-Vell sagas step away from Earth, we begin to see just how big and old the universe really is. From gods to alien dynasties and a bunch of morons, The actions on Earth seem small and petty by comparison. The Skrull in that regard are one of the oldest alien races in the universe and have been around for billions of years. While originally a peaceful species, they are now a warrior race after the deviant line ended up on top of the food chain, and have conquered thousands of planets around the universe over many hundreds of thousands of years with the help of their impressive fleet and infiltration tactics. Their most coveted prize is of course the Earth, and they'll stop at nothing to make sure that our homeworld is subject to the rule of the Skrulls. On Earth, there's a genetic anomaly known as mutation, which we know is what gives the X-Men their powers. They represent a small portion of the population, and the non-mutated members of society are quick to chastise those who are different, often outcasting them and even threatening them. Well, the mutation also extends to the Skrulls, who were also judged and outcast by the regular deviant Skrulls for being different, as their mutation gave them powers beyond the regular shapeshifting ability. Charles Xavier welcomed the mutant Skrulls into his tutelage under the class Kadra K, which was in space thanks to the powers of Charles's mind. He helped them hone their gifts while also letting them feel welcome. These Skrulls eventually made their way to Earth to live peaceful lives on a ranch away from judgmental eyes. It seems that despite being able to take over multiple planets in the universe, the Skrulls have had a lot of difficulty taking over Earth, and as such have felt the need to come back over and over to try again. But why Earth exactly? The planet is protected 24/7 by superpowered individuals, and the planet is full of morons who are killing the planet, so it can't be that appealing to alien life that can travel the stars. This question was actually answered in the Secret Invasion crossover event. Turns out that in a religious text on the Skrull homeworld, it states that the Skrulls would one day take over the Earth, and that it's their holy crusade to see that objective become a reality. So they relentlessly pursue the Earth despite the obvious failures in the past. The Skrulls have conquered many planets and systems over the millennia and thus have an expansive empire. While they are all under the command of a singular emperor, each system has its own governor to act in the emperor's name, not unlike the Moffs in Star Wars who represent and act on the emperor's behalf on various systems. Because the Skrull Empire is made up of thousands of planets, not everyone in the empire is actually Skrull. The citizens who were on the planet prior to the invasion are now considered citizens and are forced to be identified as Skrull or loyal to Skrull. This isn't unlike the early colonial days of Earth, where colonies would be extensions of their respective empires. Some planets have remained neutral though, or have openly opposed the Skrulls, like the Kree for example, which Captain Mar-Vell is loyal to along with Ronan the Accuser. Remember back in the first Avengers film when we saw Loki and Thanos use the Chitauri army to devastate New York City in an effort to conquer the planet? Turns out those aliens have a loose connection to the Skrulls thanks to the comics. The Chitauri originated back in the Ultimate Timeline, and they were essentially written to be the new Skrulls. They share a lot of similarities and traits with the Skrulls, such as being a powerful alien species with a superior fleet and the ability to shapeshift and infiltrate. In the comics, the Chitauri were even present during World War II. But just to make things confusing, the actual Skrulls eventually showed up in the Ultimate Universe. The Avengers film seemingly decided to save the Skrulls for bigger things, and used the faceless Chitauri as Loki's army instead, which had a small dose of Skrull in them. Teddy Smith is perhaps better known as Hulkling, a member of the Young Avengers whose parents are the original male Captain Mar-Vell and Princess Anel of the Skrulls. This means that the Hulk-like alien is part Kree, part Skrull, and a way to unite the warring species. Hulkling has all the powers of both the Skrulls and Kree, including the ability to shapeshift, which sees the Skrull Royal shift into a teenage version of the Hulk. Despite being the target of assassination during Secret Invasion, the Skrulls ended up recognizing his claim to the throne and his superior power, and wanted to have Hulkling rule as their new emperor. But Hulkling decided that he was going to stay on Earth and continue to serve as one of its many protectors instead of ruling a vast alien empire. Somehow, we think he made the right call there. We've mentioned a few times now that the Skrulls have the ability to shapeshift into other people, which can cause a lot of problems as they can skew public opinion or gain access to sensitive information by pretending to be someone they're not. The effects can be devastating for the Earth as the Skrulls have no intention of playing nice. Thankfully for the Skrulls, they aren't limited by gender when they transform. So if a female Skrull wants to transform into Iron Man, say, she totally can, and isn't limited by her own biology or even her voice. This makes the Skrulls true masters of deception as they can literally become anyone without limit. With the Skrulls now a part of the MCU, do you think there's any chance that one of our heroes is in fact a sleeper agent for the Skrulls? Let us know in the comments. With the power to shapeshift, you can bet that many of the classic characters in Marvel's roster have been replaced by the Skrulls at one point or another. They started off by taking over the personalities of the Fantastic Four back in the 60s, which ended up in failure, but that never stopped the Skrulls from trying again. They then went on to infiltrate the likes of many members of the X-Men, the original male Captain Mar-Vell, Elektra, Spider-Woman, Black Bolt, and Hank Pym, for example. Some of these switches date back to the House of M storyline in 2005, when Secret Invasion took place in 2008. Even scarier, though, is that the Skrulls can combine the powers of the heroes, so a Colossus-Wolverine-Cyclops hybrid is possible for them, and that sounds like a terrifying mashup of superpowers to go up against. When it comes to the Skrulls, the biggest storyline associated with them now is the previously mentioned Secret Invasion arc. This story brought the entire Marvel Universe together in an epic 2008 crossover event. It turns out the Skrulls had infiltrated many heroes years prior, and we had no idea the whole entire time, which created an environment where no one could be trusted, not unlike the movies Invasion of the Body Snatchers or The Thing. The event could be comparable to the 2006 arc Civil War in terms of scope, with countless heroes embarking on an epic quest to stop the invading Skrulls. One day we hope to see this particular storyline make its way into the MCU, perhaps the big crossover film of Phase 4. Let us know if you'd like to see an Avengers-styled film that adapts the Secret Invasion storyline to the big screen. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, then go check out the latest video from our friends over at CBR. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to their channel, and let them know ScreenRant sent you. Were you aware of the Skrulls before the Captain Marvel trailer dropped? What was your favorite Skrulls storyline? Which fact about them is your favorite? And what do you hope to see them do on the big screen? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching!